Well, hello, Power Partners, and welcome to our informational playground. This is Starstyle, Be the Star You Are. We're coming to the airwaves under the auspices of Be the Star You Are charity, the 2024 nonprofit of the year. I'm your host, Cynthia Brian, and we are on the Voice America Network. This is the Empowerment Channel. In today's show, we'll be discussing if you like doing things digitally or on paper. That's coming up in segment one, because some people like to write everything down, or some people much prefer just to use their digital device, whether that's a phone or computer or iPad. So we're going to talk about the pros and cons of both. And then in our second segment, it's all about whether you should, freshen up your empty nest when kids head off to college, or if you have children who are leaving, getting married, or moving to another location. Many households become empty nesters. And when families living in the home decrease, is it time to remodel the house, move, just let things be, or just do kind of a remodel or a refresh? So, more young people are moving back home, though, after college to save money. And some are actually moving in with their parents, maybe after a partner breakup. So, all food for thought and all coming to you on Star Style. Be the Star You Are. The miracle moment for today is brought to you by Be the Star You Are. You can check it out at bethestaryouare.org. There are two kinds of people in this world, realists and dreamers. First, know where they're going, but the second have already been there. And that's a quote by Robert Orban. Well, let's talk about getting organized and whether you should be using paper or digital, or maybe both, because getting organized is like chasing a unicorn sometimes. It sounds so good in theory, but it is really exhausting in practice. And it often ends with the people surrounded by a pile of, paper or filled notebooks or a screen full of apps that you forgot that you purchased. I know on my phone, I have a lot of different apps that I need to delete because I don't even know what some of them are. They've just been there way too long. I didn't have to buy them. Most of them were downloaded for free, but they're probably not even good anymore. But, some people feel the pressure that they need to use digital tools because we're living in a digital world, right? But you have to take into the account, if you are going to do things digitally, what it's going to cost, the time to learn the new system or the apps, and of course, keeping your passwords organized and secure. But a lot of times, we have this big desire, oh, I got to get my life together. So there's that struggle with that separating the dreamers from the doers. So, what team do you belong to? Are you team digital or are you team paper? Now, both have loyal fans, both come with perks, and both can keep you from having a day of despair, or they can both keep you from a lot of chaos. But there are pros and cons to both. So I'm going to start with digital. So there are three things that the pros say, the experts say, are the positives of being someone who stays organized with digital. First of all, if you're digital, it's portable, there's searchability, there's automatic reminders, and because it's portable, your whole life fits in your pocket. The calendar can be right there on your digital, your to-do list, your meeting notes, your client files, contact info, grocery lists, all those things that can remind you to get up and move, like if you have an exercise thing. With that searchability function, you never have to worry about, especially like if you are a kid, you know how we used to say, oh, the dog has eaten my homework. Well, that doesn't really happen anymore because you can type in a keyword and there you have it. The automatic reminders can be like a good nag or a good nudge to get things done. And like it's great to a reminder for birthdays and anniversaries or having 30 minutes in advance before your next meeting. And that just hitting those buttons sometimes feels pretty satisfying. I mean, your phone will either buzz or ring or ding or chime or whatever it is. And that tells you that it's time to do something. Now, but there are disadvantages, and the disadvantages can be pretty big because having that phone ringing all the time or buzzing or the text dinging, whatever it is, it's distracting. There's the battery anxiety because the battery can go dead. You can get overwhelmed with apps. And of course, there's the cost. And then there's Wi-Fi. So distractions are definitely real. I mean, you could be checking your calendar to see what's coming up, and the next thing you know, you are just consumed with watching a video, on YouTube or something because something reminded you. So if you feel like you're that kind of person that's going to be scrolling, 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 and constantly on your device, that's not a good thing. And then there's that pop-up that you have 10% left on your battery, and that notification can lead you literally into a panic attack, especially like if you're at the airport or you're traveling and you don't have your connector to like plug it in. So you might keep looking for the perfect productivity app for hours, and then you download too many of them to try out, and then however many that you have, either that's not enough or it's way too much and you get kind of overwhelmed. So that's about digital. Now, paper, the three kind of positive things about paper are that it is physical. I mean, you can hold it and there's that physical satisfaction. It actually gives you a memory boost, and that has been proven by experts. When you write things down, it is studies show that writing things down actually help you remember them better. So when you forget, that you have an appointment and you'd have to look on your digital, if you have written it down and can check it off a list, that's a real plus. Also, it actually can give you a rush of dopamine. And probably the best thing about paper is no Wi-Fi is ever required, right? Now, the other thing that I think is good about paper is you're not going to ever have a screen that freezes because paper doesn't freeze. Your digital device isn't going to crash, and you're not going to get asked for software updates or passwords. And paper never asks you to set up auto pay, and it never asks for your credit card. But of course, there are disadvantages to paper. You get piles. I am a filer. My husband is a piler, and he has so much paper. Now, for him, he knows how he seems to be able to find things, even though there's just piles and piles of paper. Whereas for me, if I don't file things and organize them in folders with the names on them and dates, then I would be lost because I can't really pile. Also, you could lose paper, which is definitely not good. And if you're a notebook person, you could just have too many notebooks. Now, a lot of paper receipts, you could have sticky notes, to-do lists, they can all kind of look like a lot to have to recycle. But if you're organized, losing the paper in that massive pile on your desk happens a lot when you're disorganized. And when you do find the paper, if you normally disorganized, it probably has coffee stains or lemonade stains or something on it. So, but whether you are a digital or a paper purist or someone who just you know, well, just hopes or prays or dreams that it's all going to organize itself. The key to getting organized is finding what works for you. You got to be true to yourself. You can color code your Google Calendar if you're that kind of person. You can bullet journal your heart out, or you can scribble your to-do lists, on a napkin if you want. Now, for me, I like both. And people ask me that all the time. I have not transferred over to 100% digital. I keep everything on digital and I do printed copies. And my reasoning for that, especially when I'm traveling, is I'm going through the TSA line or the airline line, and I see people putting their phones up and then their phone dies and then they don't have their boarding pass. And I did have that happen to me once. And so once was enough where I almost missed my plane because my phone had died and I couldn't get my boarding pass up. So now I print out my boarding passes, I print out parking passes, anything that I need to show someone, even if it is a discount coupon for a hardware store, I print it out. I don't depend on my phone to do it. I also do the same thing with a calendar. I keep a digital calendar, but then I also have this little pocket to do calendar, which I like a lot. And I don't write all the details, I just write down the appointments. And that way, if my computer is down or something crashes or something isn't charged, whatever it is, I have both paper and digital. So for me, that's what works at the moment. And when it comes to receipts, I still hold on to them and file them because there is that thing called the IRS, and you never know when they're going to ask for something. But whatever works for you, just be true to yourself and know that it really doesn't matter whether you are a great paper or a great digital user. Maybe use them both until you can figure out what is the best way for you to go. Well, you're listening to Cynthia Brian. This is Star Style, Be the Star You Are. We'll come back in a bit with a business bite, and then we're going to talk about empty nesting and whether you should refeather that nest. Don't go away. Do you have a website? Websites are great marketing tools. Savvy marketers maximize the technology of a website by carefully planning their sites, reflecting their business goals before they put the information online. You need to determine what you want your website to accomplish. And there are many, many services that will actually do it for you. But do you want people to just know that you exist? That's fine. Do you want to generate sales or leads? Do you want to showcase your expertise? Are you looking to attract new clients or customers? Don't start off thinking too big because too much could be too much. There's a lot of information on the web, and what is best is usually to present it in bite-sized chunks that don't take too long to download. It is a good idea to have some interactivity on your site to allow people to request information, or if you have a catalog or a product, because just remember that your site reflects you and your business. So it's a wiser choice sometimes to hire a professional web designer to create an effective site, or you can use a template on one of the sites that are out there on the internet today that is reputable. Remember, you're the star of your own performance. Turn your passions into profits. I'm Cynthia Brian with another business bite for Star Style. For more information, visit cynthiabrian.com. That's Cynthia Brian, Brian with an I.com. So, if you are a parent and your child is moving away to college, what are you going to do? Well, welcome back to Star Style, Be the Star You Are. I'm Cynthia Brian, and we're coming to you on the Voice America Network and brought to you by Be the Star You Are charity. Today, in this episode, I want to talk about whether you should refeather your nest when children move away. Interestingly, it seems that more and more now, multi-generational families are living together. But like kind of a giant slingshot, a lot of kids boomerang back after college. So the idea of an empty nest is scary when your last child moves away, whether it's for a job or for college or to be with a partner. And it seems like maybe this is a good time for you to redo your house or reorient things. But before you do, you really want to take a breath, stop, and think about it. Because, like many empty nesters, more and more kids are moving back home after college. And in fact, more kids, and they're probably not kids anymore, more of your children might actually decide that living together in a multi-generational home is going to be a better idea. So, if you were thinking of taking that bedroom and making it into an exercise room, or perhaps a guest room, or maybe you want to make an office, it sounds really sensible. But in case your kids are going to move home because they need to save money and you want to help them out, you need to rethink how you're going to do it. I mean, today's economy is really playing a huge role in the changing design of what we call empty nests. I mean, it is very expensive to live anywhere in the United States, especially here in California, and especially here in the Bay Area. In fact, the Pew Research Center report says that the whole United States is experiencing the largest increase in the number of Americans living in multi-generational homes in modern history. And I know many, many people where this is the case. Now, when I was growing up, when we turned 18, and I grew up on a farm, but when we turned 18, we were expected to move out and never come home again. I mean, come home to live. You are always welcome to come home, for the Sunday dinners and the get-togethers, but not to move back in. And of the five children in the family where I grew up on the farm, none of us ever went back. Once we were 18, we were gone, and that was that. I went away to college and then moved out on my own after college and never looked back. And so did my brothers and sisters. They didn't go to college, but they moved out at 18. But it is definitely hard today. More than 15% of all households include members of multiple generations, and the majority of which are an adult child living with a parent. And the number of children returning home has become so commonplace that a lot of these have earned the appellation of boomerangs. So, one in every four adults between the ages of 18 and 24 indicated they had returned home to live with their parents after being independent. And one in five of those between the ages of 25 and 40 reported the same. And right now, I know several families where their adult children who are single um, have just decided to live with the parent in the idea that they'll save money, especially if one of the parents is a single parent or one parent is deceased. And this way, there is camaraderie and collaboration. And I even have a niece that says, she'll be there to take care of her parents if they need it. So if she lives at home. So this is how homeowners are looking at this time in their lives. Sometimes, you want to just get it remodeled. I know what I did when my kids moved away for college is as long as they were still in college, I left their rooms just like they were. I mean, cleaned any clutter, kept it dusted, vacuumed it, but I didn't change anything because I knew that I wanted to be able to welcome them home for during breaks or whenever they wanted to come home. And interestingly, when I've done research on this, the research shows that it can actually be harmful for your college age children to experience a transition or a lot of transitions at once. So it's smart to keep a student's room as is for a while, no matter how much you think you want to change it, because for students that are going to college, it's a really tender time for a young person, and they really need to feel like they have a home base. So there's so much change going on in their own lives that it's helpful for their family to be stable and supportive, at least for a couple of years. I mean, my opinion is let them get through college and then, they can decide what they're going to do and what you're going to do because too much change can have a negative impact actually on how well they'll do academically when they are away at college. Now, a lot of people do change their homes after a child moves out, and they think that the child is launched for good, like they're getting married, let's say, or they're moving to another state to another city for a job. In that case, then perhaps it is time to do what you want with the room, but you might want to actually talk to your children about it and see how they feel. Or if you make it into a guest room, at least when they come back, they would still have a place to stay that isn't, they still feel like it was home. Um, if you leave the kids' rooms the same, then maybe you can even use it as a temporary office or something for yourself. A lot of people are moving out of state to less expensive places. And a lot of people decide they want to simplify. Some decide that they want to downsize. But, don't, if your kids are just now going to college, unless everyone has moved out and you really do feel they're settled for good, it's not a good idea to think about selling your house or moving into a smaller place or moving to a living facility or a country club or a condo or something where there really isn't any place for them to come back home to. So people do like to make sure that their children always feel welcomed. And at the same time, as an empty nester, maybe this is the time that they wanted to spruce up their house. So if you're going to keep your child's room kind of similar, I mean, maybe you could just do a couple of simple things like maybe getting a new bed covering or new window coverings or throw pillows or something like that so that it's not such a shock when they come home. And because the reality is you're not really an empty nester until your children are really out on their own, what you think is for good. And at that time, then you can make a conscientious effort to change something up. Like when my kids went to college, we did have a playroom, and it was actually a study room. It was the room where they could do their homework. It was where the computer was. It was also a game room. And when they were younger, it, had toys and things, and it was just a small little room. But when they went away to college, instead of redoing their rooms, I just changed the playroom because I knew they're not going to go and play anymore. And that became my husband's office. And that worked out really well. And they still had their room. And then once both of my kids were married, then I completely redid both of their rooms, but made them into really nice places where they could still come back, but they're not like children's rooms anymore. So I did refeather the nest, and I like it very much. And it's also nice because when guests come, they have a place to stay. And more importantly, though, I will say when the kids come home, they love the new thing that has happened. But all in all, just remember that you never know if someone is going to be coming back home. So again, before you decide to make any big moves or refeather away, maybe have a conversation with the rest of the family and see what they think. And if you decide that you want to have multi-generational living, it definitely can be a really exciting and fun time for everyone because you're going to have a lot of different viewpoints. It's great to have different ages. And I will say, from my point of view, having young people around keeps you young. It's one of the reasons I've loved working with Be the Star You Are in the teens because it just keeps you on your toes. They always have something exciting and thrilling and challenging and scary and all of those things to discuss. And so you really you can't just be sitting in a rocking chair and watching the sunset. You want to keep active and keep moving. So that's my view on if you should become an empty nester. And then on the other side of that, I just wanted to say, I know friends whose kids have either gone off to college or have gotten married or moved to another state or gotten a job somewhere else that have completely, remodeled their homes. They love it. Some have downsized, but more importantly, they've found new things to occupy them. So many people always, feel sad when their kids move away because they think, oh my gosh, I've just spent 25 years, raising a child. Now what am I going to do? And they're afraid with their spouse that they're going to just look at each other and not know what to talk about. But the reality is this a great time to just start living, find a new hobby, do things that you did before you had kids or things that you've always wanted to do, whether it is, flower arranging or making models, car models. It doesn't matter what it is. Do some woodworking, hike more. The big thing these days is pickleball or get back into tennis or basketball, whatever it is, go to more concerts. The important thing when you're an empty nester is to enjoy your life and make sure that it is fulfilled. Do a lot of reading and hey, do some volunteering because that's one of the best ways to make you feel like you're helping others. And that's that whole paradigm of life of when you help others, you help yourself. Well, that is our show for this week. So please make sure that you're tuned in to Star Style Be the Star You Are every week with me, Cynthia Brian, and tune in on Sundays to our teen show, Express Yourself Teen Radio. You can change your life, you can make your dreams come true. For more information about Star Style Productions or to purchase any of my books, visit cynthiabrian.com. That's Brian with an I, cynthiabrian.com. And just so you know, my newest children's book, that's not the right word, Flap Forward, Fly Free. It's a tongue twister. Flap Forward, Fly Free. It's the fourth book in the Stella Bella's Barnyard Adventure series, will be out this fall. So I hope that you will look for it. And I'm excited, definitely excited about it. To get involved with Be the Star You Are charity, visit bethestarur.org. I want to remind you that the Pear and Wine Festival will be coming up in September, so check out the website. We thank our sponsors, MB Jesse Painting and La Miranda Weekly, and of course, Star Style Productions is also a sponsor. So visit that at bethestarur.org. My aim is always to encourage, inspire, inform, amuse, and motivate you. I want you to see beyond your physical being and know you are already the star you dreamed of becoming. Cherish the past, dream of the future, and celebrate every moment of your life. And until next week, when we play again in the Starstyle Playground, remember that love always wins, kindness always prevails, and smiles will keep us happy. In the meantime, be kind, be inclusive, tell the truth, live with integrity, embrace cultures, love unconditionally, encourage others, be generous, read, lead, succeed, communicate, collaborate, and innovate. And most of all, be your unapologetically authentic self because everyone counts. So I encourage you to go out into the world and be the star you are. Make it a fabulous week. And thank you for joining me here on Star Style Be the Star You Are. Ciao for now.